Hello and welcome back to Serious About Rugby League's podcast. Today we're going to tackle something for the future. We're going to tackle the 2020 season and the best signings that teams have made throughout the end, towards the end of this season, and maybe even before. There's a couple of names that got announced early doors that are still going to be massive signings that people maybe have forgot about with the way that the signings have gone recently. We're not going to go through every team. We're not going to do that sort of let's list every single name. What we're going to do is we're each going to decide on the top five. We're going to speak about those people, and we're going to maybe mention some names that didn't make the top five. There are quite a few names that maybe you wouldn't spring out to mind to say, oh, these are the best players in the league. These are going to be the best players in the competition. But they're really, really useful signings for some clubs, and I'd be excited to see what they can do at different Super League teams. So we're going to start at the bottom as we always do. We'll start with number 5. Like I said, there's probably about 7 or 8 major signings that are really, really big news, and we're going to whittle that down to 5. I've gone at number 5 for a more recent announcement, that being one made by Wigan, and it wasn't from the weekend just previous to the weekend before, when Jackson Hastings announced that he was going to leave Salford Red Devils to join with the Wigan Warriors on a 2-year deal. Jackson Hastings, obviously, since his arrival at Salford, has been absolutely immense. That debut against Leeds is obviously a game that he fondly remembers, as he always mentions on Twitter, but the fans will fondly remember, and I think it's an important time for that Salford team to sort of rebuild and rejig, and then obviously Salford going into this year are still playoff contenders by a long stretch and could well get into that top 5, and that's a lot down to Jackson Hastings. What will he bring to Wigan? Well, I think he's got that enthusiasm and that drive, as well as the skills, and being coached by one of the best number 7s to play the game. I think he'll thrive in that environment with that structure that's being put in place by Adrian Lamb. And I think Wigan fans can be a bit excited about the way that the team's started to line up for next year. Yeah.
Well, at 5 I've gone for Alex Mellor for Leeds. Now, I think you said that your boss is unhappy because he's left Huddersfield. He's fallen out with him, and you know what? At the current moment in time, it's probably a bit of a sideways move. But in terms of the club and the size of Leeds, obviously if they stay up, I think it will be a good move for him. I think Leeds have been crying out for someone like this for a while, a top quality centre/back rower, and I think when they brought Brett Ferris in, they were hoping he'd be that guy, but it's not quite worked out. And he's young. I think a few clubs were after him, and yeah, I think Leeds have done really well to get him, and he's had a terrific season. It's been a breakthrough year for him, and yeah, I think he'll excel at Leeds if they stay up, that is.
I think they'll stay up. I've got Hastings at 5 as well. I'd have him a bit higher up, to be honest, but it's a fabulous signing. I think, obviously he was well sought after by a few Super League clubs. It'd be a big loss for Salford, but I think I could see it only being maybe for a year or two. I do think, it's again. I think Wigan will be a stepping stone for someone that talented. I've got no problem as a Wigan fan with that. If he goes on to play in the NRL, it means he's been sensational at Wigan, so that's fine. I think we all think that's where he's going to end up. He's got everything. He can run at the line. He's a hard hitter in the tackle. He's got that back out pass. He's got everything. I put him number 5. Like I say, I think for next season alone, I think he could probably be the most influential signing. But like I said, I think it probably could just be the only year he spends at Wigan. But I think even 1 year will be well worth the watch.
Yeah, and obviously, just reiterating what I said, really, Jackson Hastings is one of those players that could influence the league in general, and I feel like, unfortunately for Salford, and they've not really got the team around him to be able to build that reputation for Jackson Hastings to be able to push high in the division. Obviously, there was NRL interest anyway, and there will be NRL interest for such a good player, but I feel like in a Wigan team where already looking like they're going to be pushing the top 3, Jackson Hastings will be a massive signing, and he'll be able to push his game to the next level. And obviously, if you're competing for the trophies, then your name's going to be watched. On Alex Mellor, for me, he didn't make my top 5. Probably number 6 on the list for me.
Yeah.
Alex Mellor, in my opinion, probably the best line runner in the Super League. Obviously, not the biggest back rower in the world. A little bit like John Bateman, but whereas John Bateman made up for it in his sort of dogged style, where he would sort of bounce off tackles and run through, Alex Mellor makes up for it where it's pure line running, and a bit like Liam Farrell, he'll just hit that line all night long. And with Lee Gaskell playing so well for Huddersfield this year, he's been able to find that pass to Alex Miller a lot, and Alex Miller's been able to get through that line, and it really has sort of lifted the Huddersfield team, knowing that you don't have to rely on just the out the back play to Lee Gaskell. You can just hit the front row and or back row even, and Alex Miller will be straight through.
I think Lee's got a bit of stick for recruitment lately, but I mean that's definitely
that's
one in the door.
Signing,
yeah, that's
the best.
I think probably it's probably not been lauded that much really, but I think to be fair, it's going to be.
I think people think, oh, he's a Huddersfield player. They've maybe not watched a lot of Huddersfield this year. Oh, he's just one of the Huddersfield players. It's been a standout for Huddersfield this year, along with Gaskell, and really is a top quality signing for Leeds. And it'll be another one of them next year where Leeds fans might not even notice what he's doing until he's not there.
Yeah,
and that's when you start to realise how good Alex Miller really is. We'll move on to number 4. I'll come to you first, Paul. If you've got number 4.
I think the club have done quite a bit of recruitment and some decent stuff for next year. It's probably Hull FC. I think that they're getting. I think they've got Josh Jones on board for next year. I think Adam Swift's as well on the wing going there from St Helens. I'm not sure if that's confirmed, but I think it certainly looks like it's going to happen. But for me, guy going back to Hull, usually plays on the wing. Might have Fonoy. I think that's. I mean, he's a fan's favourite over there. I mean, I think he scored 2 tries when they won the Challenge Cup against Wigan a couple of years ago. I think he scored over 30 tries, nearly 60 games for Hull at his first spell there. And he went back over to the NRL. He's done okay over there, and actually he's coming back. I think the Hull fans are really excited to have him back. I think when it was announced, social media went crazy. I think another big impact for them next year. I think they've done some good work again, Hull. I think they'll be a threat next year, and I think he'll definitely be part of it.
Yeah, I think Mahe Vanua is one of those players, like you say, a bit of a cult hero at West Tigers as well, and I think he is a name that you're not looking forward to lining up against. I don't think there's anybody in the league that'll be sat there thinking, oh, Mahe Vanua's playing for Hull next year. I think he's not in my top 5. He's probably 7th on my list behind Alex Miller, and I do think he's a top quality signing. I don't think he'll be the best winger in the league. I do think there'll be people that compete against him and be better than him, but I feel like for Hull, in the situations they've got themselves in, with having Ragu, is it? Yeah, that one that I can't pronounce. I'm not even going to try for fear of online abuse. But with him and Fanua on the other wing, or even inside him at centre, which is even more frightening, that is going to be an absolute partnership and a half. And I feel like as a 2, they're probably the best pair in the league, if not the best individuals. So yeah, cracking signing, and obviously going back to Hull, it means that there's obviously going to be a bit of passion there for Fanua himself, knowing that he's going back to a place that he's loved by the crowd. So my number 4 pick is another FC player. He's actually a Parramatta player, which is sort of a slight bias from me, being that I follow the Parramatta Eels. Is Manu Mahu. I said that. Did I say it right?
Manu
Mahu. Oh, whatever. Right. Top player. Obviously, I watched a lot of NRL this year. I watched a lot of Parramatta this year, and he's a top quality player. He's the real deal. He's the kind of player that's been able to push Parramatta to the limits. And Parramatta have come from a season where they really struggled. Obviously, finishing right down the bottom end and really struggling. And Manu Mahu has been one of those players that's been able to push the team forward. I feel like he'll come over to FC. To be honest, it seems like he's come from nowhere, because he can still hit it up in the NRL.
Yeah.
And FC have got themselves a real superstar here, and I feel like he'll be able to push Hull to that next step and really competing with the top. And if Hull's pack wasn't scary enough, then it's just got even scarier.
Yeah, I agree. Well, on that, I feel there's a lot of players that are coming over now that are perhaps they say it's a retirement home for the NRL, but I'd say maybe getting to the peak of his career and he's coming over, and there is a few doing that. And yeah, my pick at number 4, if you'd have asked me this last year, I would have probably said this is number 1, is George Burgess. Now, you might think that's a bit low down given his name and the furore around the Burgess boys, but I think the stat is with his injury problems. He's averaging 20-25 minutes a game at the moment, which put off a lot of NRL clubs, because I don't think it's any secret he did want to stay in the NRL. But if you get him fully fit and in top form, then I feel within a few months he'll probably be the best prop in Super League, but whether Wigan can do that is another matter, because, like I said, those injury problems, I think the article I was reading on it was suggesting that it's something that is not really going to improve, it's just going to deteriorate as his career goes on, and hopefully we get to see the best of him, because it's great that he's come over to Super League before his 30s, and I don't think a few years ago when you seen George Burgess scoring a try in the NRL Grand Final, and perhaps at that time the best prop in the NRL would come over here before he was 30-year-old, so it's great for our competition.
Yeah, I think there is always that slight worry, but there's a slight worry about any single player that could come over from the NRL. I mean,
we're not going to get an NRL player at the peak of his powers coming over Super League.
No, and I do feel like you got almost the best thing here, and people like Manu Maui, who are coming over almost towards the best would be the playing at the minute, and you're not always going to get that privilege, and George Burgess is as close as you're going to get in terms of somebody that was so settled and so happy within the team. I've seen many people on Twitter, and obviously this is all like speculation from fans, but many Australians saying I'd like somebody just offer him a contract, because they don't want to lose players like that from the competition. No. Obviously we don't want to lose players from our competition in the same vein, but people just begging somebody to offer him an NRL contract, because you don't want to lose a name like George Burgess, even if it's like cost. Even if he's, and this was a quote from Twitter, even if he's British, I don't want to see him go back to Britain. I want to see him in the NRL till the end of his career, because he's one of those players. So for Wigan to be able to pick him up, obviously injury is a concern, but I feel like even if he plays 20 games out of the 29, the impact he's going to have in that time is going to be absolutely immense. And obviously he's not at the start of his career, so I'm not expecting a prop at 29 to play every single game of the season. I'm expecting him to play 20 games, and if he plays that many and plays well, then
obviously the playoffs is going to be massive.
If he gets anywhere near his best, he'll be one of the best in the league. If not the.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's move on to number 3. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll come back over to you.
Well, it's a player you've already mentioned, Jackson Hastings, without repeating what you two have said too much. I think it will be a stepping stone to the NRL, but it's a fantastic deal for both player and club. I think it suits both really well, and goes without saying, without Jackson Hastings, I think Salford would be a lot lower down the table than what they are.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that's all you can really say.
Yeah, there's not really much to add on. It's just his individual quality, isn't it? And I feel like obviously the structures have helped Salford in that vein. That Salford's sort of compact style of attacking, obviously that played a little bit into the hands of Robert Louis, but also played into the hands of Jackson Hastings, and his ability to be able to move around the pitch at whatever pace he wants to is a massive bonus to the side, and it's something that he'll want to implement at Wigan, but obviously on a different level, being that George Williams won't be there to attack the line next year, so he's going to have to do that himself. We might see the likes of Harry Smith come through at Wigan to really help him out, or even still that Thomas Leatherwise stays for another year and Hastings become the outside back. Jared Sammett's obviously there as well, so there's lots of options for Wigan to go alongside Jackson Hastings, and we'll be interesting to see what sort of style we can adapt to be able to fit Hastings into that role.
It'll be helped a lot more by playing as a half behind a pack that's got George Burgess in it as well.
Yeah, exactly. I just want the balls carrying forward a lot better. Do you want to say number 3, Paul? Go on.
Well, for me, it's Gareth Widdop coming back over. Well, the back over. He's never played Super League, but he's obviously English international. Did well in the World Cup for England. Going to Warrington next year. A glorious career in the NRL. One of the favourite halves over there. He's played at fullback as well. Played at fullback for England, and he as well. There's not really much more to say about this guy. He's got all the skills that you need. Tremendous line runner. He's a tremendous goal kicker as well. Which obviously you're turning 4 points into 6 points every time there's a try. So I think I've put Gareth Widdop.
Yeah, I think Widdop is absolutely immense. I mean, I don't want to go into too much detail because he's on my list, so I'll go into more detail later. But he is one of those talents. Obviously, winning Dally M halfback of the year a couple of times. He's really highly rated as if not one of the best halfback in the NRL when he's fit. Obviously, he's had a bit of a troublesome couple of seasons, and Warrington will be hoping that he can get out of that phase and really hit his top form again in the Super League. Cause
it looks like he's going to be fit now. Really.
Yeah, Widdop in top form is a frightening thought, especially he's playing alongside Blake Austin as well.
Well, his first game back the other day, he was arguably the man of the match, wasn't he?
So
Warrington always get their recruitment right on.
Yeah,
to be honest, it's just tremendous.
The way they're managing that salary cap and being able to bring in players like Austin and Widdop to play alongside each other is absolutely immense.
Credit to the financial team, man.
Yeah. Imagine that. Credit to the financial team. My number 3 is another halfback that isn't Gareth Widdop. It's a Catalans Dragons signing that come through recently. I think there was obviously a lot of disappointment with this one from a Leeds fan's perspective, because obviously they were hoping to tie this guy up. For me, Maloney's made the right choice. He's gone to Catalans. I feel like obviously the New South Wales Origin winner from this season is as big a name as you're going to get or find moving.
Unbelievable. After
just winning the Origin as a starting half in all 3 games, to just move to Super League like that, it's a massive recognition to Super League. There's a massive nod to the Catalans club as well. And Catalan Dragons have always been able to have this. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just a luxury of learning the south of France for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But to be able to attract these big players, and this is not like one of these. Oh, let's just throw our hand at this guy and see what happens. This is a guy that's just won the State of Origin. This is the toughest competition in the sport.
Clubs he's played for as well.
And he's not even playing badly right now.
No.
At Penrith, he's doing an amazing job for the club, and I feel like Catalans you just got to hold your head up and just give them a round of applause. So I think it's a massive signing for the Super League, and one of the players that you're just I would pay good money to watch play for any team. So the fact that Catalans have managed to tie him up is a massive statement of intent for the club, and I do feel like James Maloney will move the team forward. So yes, James Maloney at 3. You went for Widdop and you gone for Hastings. So that's a trio of half-backs.
Yeah.
And
they're the glory boys, aren't they? Let's be quite honest.
It's the fact that we've got quality of that intent to play in the league next year is, along with the stuff we've already, the likes of Theo Ferge and Blake Austin have already played immense this season. It's gonna be a really interesting league to watch. Okay, we'll move on to number 2. My number 2 is something that's already been mentioned. It's not Gareth Widdop, it's George Burgess. For me, George Burgess, like you put him down for the injury, maybe the side of things. I think this season he has been a really, really good asset to South Sydney Rabbitohs. Obviously, his discipline is an issue.
Yeah.
Being that it's his second offence for eye gouging, and that is a slight concern.
It has to be a concern.
It has to be for any club. It has to be a concern. However, I would say that his quality sort of merits the signing anyway. And for those that thinking he might be past it or not good enough or
27 years old,
bang average, as a conversation we've had amongst ourselves, is absolutely ridiculous. This guy is the peak. This guy is one of the best players we've ever seen in an England shirt.
I don't necessarily think it's a bad signing or he's past it. I just think he's been off form for quite a while now, and I think Tom's overtaken him.
I think Tom's overtaken him. I think that's for sure. I think obviously Sam was already ahead of him.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's discredit. I think Tom's one of the best players in the NRL. So I don't think that's a discredit to George.
You can't judge someone based on someone else's better. I mean,
it's because it's the brothers and they play in the same position. People want to compare them.
Well, I think if you best probably say the last World Cup, George Burgess didn't get picked, did he?
No. I think this season has probably been his best NRL season for the last 3 or 4. I think he started to push forward again, and I don't think it's a name that the NRL want to lose. I think he's only come to Wigan because it was the attractive choice rather than playing on less money at, say, Parramatta or Penrith or something like that. I feel like it was the attractive choice for him, and to be able to come home and obviously only be an hour's drive from home is really ideal for us.
I've got him as number 2 as well. It's surprising that I expected if he was to come over, he would have gone to Leeds. I don't know what's gone wrong there, but I think I've been critical of Wigan's recruitment policy in the last couple of years. I don't know what's gone on this year because they've just they've gone to the other extreme. I think some of the business is tremendous. If George Burgess and Jackson Hastings can't put bums on seats at the DW, I think I don't know what will. Not the kind of player that will come to Super League, that's for certain. I think this definitely puts Wigan in serious dangers next year. As a fan, looking back, I've never really been excited about at the start of any season for the last 3 or 4, even though we have ended up grand final winners in a couple of them. But this time I am really quite excited about Wigan next year. I think this guy he's got the X factor, his box office. He smashes through lines. Obviously, lines that aren't as strong as they are in the NRL. He's gonna make serious yards next year in a Wigan shirt. And obviously he'll cement his place back in the England side, ready for the next World Cup. I'm fairly sure about that. And I think it's harsh to judge. I have seen comments saying, "Oh, they've got the wrong brother. He's not as good as Sam or whatever." Yeah, you can't judge someone based on the fact that there might be other better players than him in the NRL. I think probably Thompson will rival him in Super League if he's still in Super League next year, which I'm sure he will be. But he's going to be touted by the NRL. But
I think and that is. Let's rewind. Let's fast forward. Sorry to Good Friday 2020 and Luke Thompson facing up against George Burgess.
I mean, it's
Alex Walmsley as well.
And Alex
Yes, it's
Walmsley.
It's
Absolutely, it's a dream game to watch. And as you said, as Wigan fans, we sort of.
I'm not.
Me and Paul, as Wigan fans, we sort of like the last few years. It's been tough. Like
really,
we say, it's been tough. We won Super Leagues, and we can't really discredit that. It's been tough to get excited about the idea of what's coming next. Obviously, Adrian Lamb sort of gave us that boost for a little bit, but the way that we played rugby wasn't ideal. Zach Airdacre was a bit of a boost, but again, the way we played rugby wasn't ideal. So realistically, since the signing of maybe Trent Barrett, the trio from Melbourne, Brett Finch, Jeff Lima, Ryan Hoffman, was probably the last time that Wigan fans really got pumped about the start of the season.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm really excited about next year. I feel
there's
like
a lot of excitement going around if you look at the forums of Wigan fans. I think this is a good one. And
there's still, realistically, the way that we've managed the finances, there's still room for another Wigan arrival, and that's the even more exciting thing.
Especially if you go to 3 marquee players, which I'm not sure it's going through, but I know the clubs want it, don't they?
Well, the salary cap will go up next year, and we're going to have done a lot of letting go of players, so there's definitely room there and scope there, which is just immense for the club. Who's your number 2?
So it's another player that's already been mentioned, James Maloney. Now, just adding to what you said, I think he went to the Roosters, didn't he? He impressed at the Warriors, and he went to the Roosters, and he really improved them and got them to what they are now, which is consistently at the top of the NRL. And I feel like he kick-started that whole kind of mini era for the Roosters of kind of the minor premiership dominance that they've had, and then to go to Cronulla and repeat it just underlined his quality. And I mean, there's a lot of players that in the NRL, almost like we've mentioned it before, there's a few players coming over in the earlier days of the career now, but still the vast majority are at the latter end of the career, but they're not often vocal about, I wanted to go to England, or I really want to try out myself and test myself overseas. It's normally just they arrive at a club, last payday, you don't really hear much from them, and then they trundle ball up for a season or 2 and then go back home. But it's good to see Maloney's been quite vocal. For
a couple of years as well.
I did want to test myself overseas. I did want to go to Super League, and I think he's probably chosen the right choice in going to the south of France because it is a great lifestyle. And just to add to what you were saying about him in State of Origin, that second State of Origin game, which we must win for the Blues, he was not just a big part of that, he was the main guy, he was the one leading the Blues around, and they dominated Queensland in that second game. And to have someone come over to Super League a few months after such a dominant performance in an Origin game, I think is just brilliant for our competition.
Realistically, there should have been contracts lining up for him after that Origin game. And this, like you said, the idea that James Maloney is, for the last 3 or 4 years, has been saying, at some point I want to get over there and test myself. Wigan have been looking at him for years, and I'm not even disappointed that Wigan haven't signed him. I'm glad that he's in the Super League, because somebody of that quality.
Again, Leeds have mentioned
somebody of that quality playing in the Super League is just absolutely incredible, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him in a Catalan shirt. I feel like we obviously don't know what's going to happen with Tony Gigo, but the idea that you could potentially have a Maloney, Gigo, Tompkins lineup, link in the back right, that's an absolutely incredible back line to be. And it's fearful. It's fearful.
Yeah. I think there's been a bit of criticism of the quality of Super League over the last few years. I think the players that's coming over now, the ones that come over for the last year and for next year, I think that's quite an exciting time for the league next year. I must admit, there's going to be some tremendous players in Super League next year.
For sure.
I do think the Super League are really pushing the game forward in the best way.
I think they had to as well, but definitely. I think crowds have dropped right across the board.
Yeah.
And let's just talk, I mean, you know, the club said what do you want? The fans said we want better players, more attacking rugby, skillful rugby, and we're going to get it next year. So let's see. You know, the clubs have done their bit. It's up to the fans now.
Yeah, I think towards the end of the season we've started to see attendances start to slowly pick up as the games start to improve, as the leagues got closer and closer. I know Huddersfield are hoping for a big attendance against Leeds on Friday as well, which is obviously everyone takes the mick, but Huddersfield to get a big attendance is a massive step.
Definitely.
And I do feel like the Super League are handling it right at the minute, and hopefully that continues into 2021 and beyond, and we can see vast improvements. Okay, so let's go on to our biggest signing for 2020, our number one spots. I have a slight feeling that these players might have been mentioned before, but we'll come to you, Paul, because I know you've got a different answer to me.
To be honest with you, I had George Burgess already down as number one. Obviously, I picked him number two. I have to be honest, I'm not the biggest watcher of the NRL, but obviously there's Maloney. And I obviously had a look at his career. He's played over 250 games in the NRL. He's scored over 60 tries, and like you say, a regular Origin. I really can't believe that the form he's in now, he's coming over to Super League. It's an incredible signing. But I mean, I thought that was getting Steve Menzies, people like that. This is for the league itself. I think in a way it's a shame he's going to France. I'd love to see him at one of our big clubs. Obviously Warrington have got Winnipeg, and St Helens, Wigan, Leeds, whatever. But it doesn't matter. I mean, Catalans will be travelling everywhere, and I think if you're doing nothing on Sunday afternoon and if your team aren't playing and James Maloney's playing for Catalans, and it's only an hour's drive away, no matter who they're playing, I think you're going to think, you know what, I'm going to go and watch this guy. He was playing State of Origin last year. It's a tremendous coup for the league, and absolute hats off to. I mean, they got Stacey Jones when they first come into Super League, Catalans. I mean, absolute hats off to them. This guy, I mean, you keep saying box office, but this guy really truly is. I'd off my cap. I can't wait to see him play next year.
And realistically, he'll be playing in Super League, but if he wasn't playing in Super League, he'd be up in contention for that State of Origin jersey.
Probably,
again.
We mentioned Burgess.
Chance over.
I mean, I kind of said for Burgess, you don't tend to get NRL players at the peak of the game coming over Super League. That's why we're going to have got him. If his stock was really that high still, he would have got another gig in the NRL. But then this guy, you look at it, you wonder how really. Yeah, you just wonder. Think, well, surely if he's available, so the NRL would snap. I mean, he's played for all the big teams there. It's I mean, brilliant. I can't wait to see this guy.
Yeah, it'll be a top sign. I'm obviously disagreeing. Obviously, Maloney was lower down on the list for me, but my number one is also half-back, and I feel like there's obviously a bit of a personal attachment for us guys in Super League and us English boys. Obviously, we want to see the best English players playing in the English competition against the other best English players, and we want to see the English competition being as good as the NRL, so that the England international team can be as good as the Australian international team, etc., etc. So I feel like for Gareth Widdop to make his way back to Super League,
it's a massive sign.
After obviously going over to Australia before he could make his senior debut, is a massive moment for both the competition and the international team. Gareth Widdop is probably the best halfback England have seen in the last 50 years. He's that good. Maybe obviously our international record isn't ideal, but in terms of the quality of the man in domestic rugby, he is that good. And to be able to see him in England, and then for the England fans, not even just for the Warrington fans, for the England fans, to be able to watch out and be able to watch him every week, to know what he's about, to know what he's capable of. Because obviously there's a lot of England international fans, England team fans that don't really watch the NRL, so we don't. This Gareth Widdop comes into the team, and he's been playing in Australia all year, and we don't know much about him. But it'd be good for us to be able to see
Yeah.
him week in, week out, see what he's about, see what he's doing, see how we can fit him into our international style, and just have more of a presence about him. So when he's pulls on the England jersey or the Great Britain jersey, whatever he's pulling on, we're all like, this is our guy, and this is the guy that's going to lead us to a World Cup or Four Nations.
The year after, isn't it? So
Yeah, well, I'm in complete agreement. I've gone for Widdop at number 1 as well. Yeah, I'm not sure about the 50-year comment. I think you might get a few replies on that one.
I'm not even bothered. Go on, give me a worst. I think he's that good.
Well, I think you've kind of gone over all Gareth Widdop's abilities and what to expect from him. I think if we're looking at it from, again, a competition's point of view, I think at the start of next season we need to use these names that we've gone through for a big promo, like a real big promo. We need to see these star names because, like you said, Paul, that's what makes Super League and that's what gets bums on seats. We need a real big promo at the start of next season with Widdop, Burgess, Maloney, all them big names in. And from the actual competition point of view for next year, Saints are obviously, in terms of the table this year, have ran away with it. But you're looking at a Warrington team next year with Widdop and Austin in the hearts. You're looking at Wigan with Hastings and then Burgess and then even Catalans.
I'm Devon French. Signed this year as well.
Yeah, exactly, and even Catalans now with Maloney.
They just
you think the competition surely's got to start to even itself up a bit next year for Saints to win the League Leaders' Shield a couple of years in a row by what's looking like 10 points again. It's they might not necessarily win the competition, but I think we want to see a more even run at the top, don't we? Because it starts, it kills it off a bit at the top. I know it's still exciting, but I feel like the competition this year has been more competitive than it's ever been, apart from St Helens. And I think next year we might see probably the closest gap ever between top and bottom. And these star names going to all these different clubs is going to be the reason.
I don't think Saints will struggle next year, but I feel like there'll be a bit of a reality shock with the loss of Holbrook, and there's not been any incomes yet.
Yeah.
I feel like the rest of the competition are trying to level themselves out, and St Helens need to look at how they're going to react to that.
Yeah.
Actually, the salary cap's working, isn't it? I think I've always said it. You kind of always get the feeling the salary cap. The idea was to bring the top teams down to the level of the lower teams. I think what we're seeing here is no one's interested in bringing St Helens down. Everybody's trying to get up there with them. I think that's a massive difference, and we keep relaxing the rules even more. I think there's going to be more to come.
Yeah.
I feel like
obviously I'm a scrap cap fan, but I think over time, the more that you see in the way we're doing it now in increments, is the way that we're going to see the competition improve.
I don't think you just raise it and go do what you want and watch your teams go out of business. But I do think gradually every year a little bit more.
Starting to look really.
I think a third marquee would be good, and we can go from there. I mean, I'll look at 4 in a couple of years' time, but yeah, definitely.
But obviously there are top fives. There's loads of other players that are signed for Super League clubs that are going to be really, really exciting. Even from within the Super League, obviously you've got Josh Jones going to FC. You've got Ryan Atkins going to Wakefield. You've got Jay Pitts potentially going to Wakefield, and I think he's probably the most underrated player in the league at the minute, Jay Pitts, and that'll be a massive move for him, assuming that Wakefield can get back on track.
I think there's some tremendous fits in there, isn't it? Not just I think for one I picked out was Dan Sargent going. I think it looks like he's going to Salford. I'm not sure that's been confirmed, but I think the gist of it is he's going to go there. And I really can't think of a better fit for Dan Sargent. And I think he gets maligned a lot, but look what he's won. He's
immense this season.
The 2016 Grand Final, he was tremendous at fullback for Wigan. He did a tremendous job that day. And this guy's been to the NRL, so he's had all that extra coaching. I think as a fit for Salford, he'll be tremendous next year.
Fecky's obviously going to Castleford as well. Is that from Cronulla? Good player. So there are some real good movements. If Kevin Brown goes to Salford,
it's another good fit. Another good fit for Salford. They're coming on Salford. There is an Hastings, but they're really replaced. And they've lost Bibby to Wigan as well.
Realistically, the 2020 competition has got the potential to be the biggest and the best we've seen since the 90s.
It's great to see Salford up there. There's a couple that you love to see up there. They always play good rugby. Tremendous coach as well, who's doing a great job. We might talk about him later, but I
think this. He's probably the most excited I've been for the start of the season in a long time, and I think that's important. Obviously, there are like key names. There are lots and lots of names and big moves. I want to hear all about what your club's business, or what you think of your club's business. Your top 5 for the league. Who you're most looking forward to seeing? Who you're most looking forward to playing against? So yeah, give us your top 5s, but please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell to get all the latest news, and we'll see you next time.